जय गौरा हरे. Welcome to another episode of TwoMuchWise.
This is the warm-up to the Bhagavad Gita series where we discuss and introduce some concepts of the Bhagavad Gita.
All that we speak is what we have learned from spiritualists and perfected teachers from the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. Nothing that we say is of our own.
We have another series which is called the Gita Expedition series. It is a more detailed discussion on it where we explore the Gita verse by verse, chapter by chapter.
This episode is better heard than seen. So feel free to hear it while walking, while cooking, while driving, or even while working out.
We've had a lot of fun recording these sessions, and we hope that you too have a good experience hearing these, watching these. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So the G word God, some seem to not be able to stop talking about it, and some just can't stand the talk about God. And all in all, it's a mystery. Some seem to know it fully, uh, and some really don't care about it. Like, okay, hoga kuch, why do we care? And there are some little those who really want to know about God. So in this whole khichdi of things, um, what is God? What does this word mean to you, Prabhu? um, yeah.
God has always been a very obvious element in my life. In
Hmm.
fact, I feel like it's such an obvious element in everyone's life. You don't even need to pause and pay attention. It's just
Yeah.
around us everywhere.
Hmm.
Uh, if you look around, whatever things we have, or whatever, whoever people we are around, God is evident in
Yeah.
both things and people.
Okay.
How things first, all the things
Hmm.
are nothing but manipulation of whatever is available in the nature, right? You look at a nice
Okay.
car, it's coming from
Yeah.
some metal and some rubber and some wires, and all of these are basically rooted in the raw materials given to us by nature, right?
Hmm.
So we are completely dependent for all things on nature, right? Whether
Right.
it's the earth, below the earth, or above the earth.
Hmm.
The gases above the earth, the trees
Yeah.
on the earth, the
Okay.
minerals and metals below the earth. It's all coming from nature. So
Yeah.
things are rooted in nature. And if you just look at nature, you don't need to
Hmm.
study it too deeply like a scientist. You just look at it
Okay.
and you can see so much order in it. It's so
Hmm.
beautifully ordered
Hmm. Hmm.
that you cannot deny the existence of somebody or something keeping this order. Like, for example, I'll tell
Right.
you what is the one most beautiful thing to me. There are so many examples of beautiful things in the nature, but one most beautiful thing to me that we all see every day is a tree.
Hmm.
A huge tree comes out of a little seed, and then that
Yeah.
huge tree gives so many fruits, which have so many seeds, which have the potential of
Seeds. Yeah.
giving so many more trees.
Hmm.
There is such perfect order, such beautiful creations in the nature. Look at the butterfly. It has to fight out of its cocoon to build its wings, which gives it the ability to fly. It's so
Yeah.
beautifully done. So things, when
Hmm.
you look at things and when you start doing the RCA of things, you figure out that there is so much order in and around where we live.
just
Yeah, tell
just
me.
today I saw a close up of a fly,
Uh-huh.
with a it was like a clickbaity article, which basically said know about the five most short-lived insects. It was that kind of an article, but the cover page of that was a
Uh-huh.
fly. It was a fly, and it was a close-up. It was a, like
Uh-huh.
really blown up picture of it where I could see the eye and all the details of a fly. We've never seen a fly that up close like that, right? So I was thinking this is the most short-lived, one of the most short-lived insects. These what are these flies are that they're showing, and I saw that there were so many panels in the eye, in just one that single eye. It was water hydrophilic, right? No, sorry, hydrophobic. The water basically it wasn't absorbing it; it was repelling it, and the eye had like very ordered एक ऐसे strand of hair poking out, and I don't know what those are called for it. Looked like a mustache and a beard, and I don't know what it was, but it was beautiful. And this is a fly. which is the most short lived. I'm like, who's doing this? Who's
Mm,
doing all of the design,
mm,
right? And we too design a lot of things, and um, things in nature are anyway beautiful. The fly in itself as a organism might not be doing beautiful things, especially to our perspective, but yeah, it's playing its role, and as a creation, yeah, it looks amazing, especially when you see it in that
yeah.
close up. You can see the
Mm,
details.
yeah. Mm, especially now, with the way photography has evolved, developed, there is so much more about nature that we are getting to know. There are so
Yeah,
many of these series. I'm forgetting which is that really popular one, Planet Earth.
mm,
And there's so many, the Nat Geo series. When you just see them, you understand, oh, nature is really beautiful,
yeah,
and man can never create nature.
yeah,
But man does create beautiful things. Man can also
yeah,
create beautiful cars and robots,
yeah,
and homes. So
yeah,
if you need a man to create beautiful things like the cars and the homes and the hotels, then of course you've got to have a creator for the
yeah,
intricately most beautiful nature. So that
yeah.
way things make it obvious.
This
Yeah,
camera that I'm staring at right now, it reminds me of an eye, because it has like a white surrounding. It has like another ring around it, and just that single point where all the light is going in. I can see that, and I feel, yeah, so many of the things that we have invented are inspired from nature, right?
inspired. Yeah,
Yeah,
our own bodies. It's funny how we never sit down to think about how automatically our body functions. Like we never order our
yeah,
body, order our heart to pump blood to different parts. We never order our body to throw
yeah,
out bacteria and viruses. We never order the liver to process our food and play a part in digestion. It's all happening
yeah,
automatically. Our body in itself, they say, the body is like the finest computer ever made. So
yeah,
how can all of this be without the existence of a creator, a greater power? And this greater power may be uh, mm, looked at or called by different names. You may call it universe, energy, supreme, higher
yeah. So
power, God.
that was
That's
my
okay.
next question. That so
Hmm.
you're saying nature is God? Is that it? Like because there exists such great design in nature, including ourselves, you're saying the designer has to be there, and
Yeah.
that is it. That's the defining thing for you for believing in God. Is that the defining element?
I'll say that's the most important element for me in my inquiry of God. Uh,
Hmm.
when I look at the creation, I think of a creator, and that brings God. That's how it starts. And then there are
Yeah,
more and more thoughts. But my starting point is always this. What is it for you?
that's
Why don't
the
you
most
build on this?
irrefutable one, I guess.
Yeah, so that's the most irrefutable point.
Yeah,
Uh, about the existence of God. And then, of course, from there on, you start thinking there is God, there is a creator, and that creator is not going to be only the creator of things, but it's also going to be the creator of people. It's also going to be my creator because I also
yeah,
am so ordered. So, there is the energy in things, in matter, and then there is the energy in me, which is the
mm,
spirit, the soul. And then I start thinking, oh, I also have a source, uh,
yeah,
and hence God uh, starts taking a role beyond that of a creator, but also the role of my source. And we all have uh, this natural inclination to know who our source is. A kid wants to know who his or her father is. So then
yeah.
the relationship between God and myself becomes more dynamic that way. So that's God, uh,
The
uh,
conversation that we're having right
foundationally
now,
for me. Yeah,
that
yeah.
okay, there's great design, there is me, and there's energy. Obviously it must have a source. Let's find that source. And you brought up the concept of that source also being a person, that if I'm there, my source is there, that's my ultimate parent, that's my ultimate, um giver, right? That's a personality. So this whole conversation that we've had is a logical normal conversation where one can just, anybody who doesn't have any, you know, background whatsoever in god consciousness or whatever, they can also, these thoughts can come to them and they can also think about this, and any thoughtful person, these thoughts will come to, or may have a chance to come to. Now, stark difference in what actually happens when god comes into discussions is that it is divisive. Why isn't this the conversation being had when we talk about god? But in fact, when god comes into the equation, it gets so murky, it gets the whole room gets uncomfortable. If you go into a corporate room, like a corporate environment, and just bring this, if you just spring this topic up of god, you can see the whole energy change in that room, and everyone's going to be like, okay, okay, I don't want to talk about this, I just wish this just passes. So why is that? We were having this conversation right now, and it was like a normal conversation, like two people just thinking about, where we came from, where all of this came from, etc., and who that person may be, can we get to know them? These are normal questions. And cut to what is happening right now, it's a different scenario. What's happening there?
We are all peace loving beings, at least those who are living in the corporate offices, going to colleges, schools. We all like peace. We
Yeah.
don't like even the smell of conflict. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, the topic of God leads to another topic, which is the topic of who is your God, or how
Which
will you
god?
get to God, which is basically
Yeah.
the entire realm of the R word, the G word, and now the R word, which is religion. And
Yeah.
once you get into that realm, you're entering into
Hmm.
a territory where there are a lot of conflicts. They've existed,
Yeah.
uh, and they continue to exist till date. So hence, we don't want to
Hmm.
talk about it. Uh,
Yeah.
you see, for
It's
division,
basically,
yeah,
it's basically
go ahead.
become it's basically become problematic because from an exploratory conversation, exploratory approach of who am I, and where did I come
Mm,
from, it has become, oh no, what am I, what do I subscribe to? And it's a personal subscription, and I don't want to disturb anybody else's subscription, but there are so many subscriptions. Whose subscription is the best will come up inevitably in this conversation of god and religion. Let's not have the conversation. That's what it's become
mm,
basically, and
mm,
that's the point I think you've been
yeah,
trying to talk about. You
yeah,
word use the word divisive.
yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
You don't want to feel any bit of hostility,
Mm.
because you have uh, a culture, which is
Yeah.
different from the culture of the other person, a religious culture which is different, and then you don't want to talk about it, right? uh,
Yeah.
but you have to really go beyond this, because this is all a matter of uh, mindsets, and a matter
Mm.
of religion being uh, in the hands of the crooked. You see, to propagate hatred, you have many tools. Any tool can propagate
Yeah.
hatred. Nationality is one. There are wars because of nationality, uh, ideologies, political
Yeah.
proclivities, uh, and once you said it, I found
Social
it really
proximity.
interesting and funny. Localities. My house,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
parking can cause so much of division. In
Yeah.
all of this, if you get something which is so close to an individual's heart, something like religion, and then you use it as a tool for hatred and division, it works really well.
Yeah.
And gullible beings, or not gullible, but beings, not only gullible, but beings who've been manipulated easily or with effort to to be an agent of hatred on the basis of religion.
Yeah.
They have made the entire concept of religion very dark, very
Yeah.
very difficult to talk about.
Yeah.
So we've got to have an individual must have mm, the resilience, and the independent thinking to rise above and think
Yeah.
from scratch.
Yeah.
We have to break through these biases that have been created in our head, because to know
Hmm.
who your source is more important than the connotations attached to your source.
Yeah. Yeah. Or to defend what you already know. Like, this is what I know, this is
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
subscribe to,
exactly. Try
that's
to
what I have to
defend the
defend.
culture you've been brought in.
That becomes more important than to get to know
Yeah,
what the real truth is.
yeah.
I think this is a point that stops all of us from progress, and makes us be stuck in the place where we are. May that may we be highly religious, may we be okay, maybe sometimes religious, sometimes not, and maybe I'm a totally opposite, in the opposite direction. I'm a full-on atheist. Whatever I am, wherever I lie on the spectrum, this blocks us from basically being open, and being open to actually change in my opinion wherever I am in the spectrum. By the way, I'm not even talking about just one end of
Hmm.
the spectrum. This blocks us from getting to know the truth, and rather than getting to know the truth, we just care about protecting our territory on that spectrum. If we
Hmm.
protect territory generally also in our daily lives, but in ideology also we protect our territory, we apply the same
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
mentality there as well. That's what it's basically become currently. um,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
otherwise the conversation we were having right now, just at the beginning, it was such a nice, there's no connotation there. It was just like, "Mujhe janna hai. I want to know where we came from." It'll be nice to know, right? It'll be nice to know where we came from. It'll be nice
hmm,
to know what's happening. um, um, yeah, that seeking mentality, genuine sincere seeker mentality, is something I think which is amiss in today's world. It's not encouraged, nor is it taught. In the conversational part of religion, the biggest reason why nobody wants to confront is because people will take offense. I will take offense. I don't want to be offended myself. I don't want anybody else to be feel offended. And what are the things that people take offense on when they are really highly emotionally invested in something? That's when people get offended very easily.
yeah.
Something,
That's a
if
very
you're
good point.
highly
Yeah,
emotionally invested in something, you will feel, it's very easy to offend you on that. Now, being emotionally invested in something is not bad, but being emotionally invested in something is the only thing that you have with that with that factor or with that element, then it's problematic, because you will get offended about it. You'll not be open to hear anything about it. Now, if that emotionally invested part comes along with an investment of education, where you know something about it, where it's not just hocus pocus, just hearsay for you, but you actually know about it, you've read about it, you've practiced it, you know the workings here and there, then if you even if you hear something, someone says something which is against your opinion, which is against your current standing about that particular thing, you might not feel offended. You will disagree with that person. You are emotionally invested in it. You are, but you also know things about it. So you might, there's a chance that you might not feel offended. You'll be like, okay, I disagree with this person. That person may or may not be knowing what I know, or may or may not be may or may not have had the chance to get the perspective that I've had. Maybe if I share that perspective, the other person's opinion might also change. So having the knowledge, having the education part along with the emotional attachment, I think that changes the game big time in this whole god conversation, because currently it's mostly just the emotional quotient which is really high. Hence the of taking offense factor is really high. People get inflamed very easily at very little things, and nobody wants that conflict, nobody wants that confrontation. People like, you keep this at your home, whatever you want to do, you practice, whatever you're emotionally feeling about, you do that. It's counterproductive to talk about it, because people will disagree and then they will get inflamed unnecessarily. I think that education part is where a big change happens, and I have seen this change happen.
and that's very, very insightful. Very insightful. Knowledge and education is, it's a great protection uh,
Yeah.
from getting hurt.
Mm.
Because if you hear something which is against your religious principles, and you have knowledge about those religious principles, you know why they exist, you know how they help,
Yeah.
then either you will have the inner conviction and you will not get
Yes.
offended, you'll be able to take it respectfully and let it
Yes.
go, or you'll
Yes.
be able to talk to the other person if the other person is very receptive, and you'll be able to deliver the conviction that you have. But it's
Exactly.
not going to be
Yes.
just an emotional attachment, as you so
Yes.
nicely worded it. You do, normally this happens, no, two people, they're talking, they get into a conversation about religion, about God, and then neither of them have logic, but both of them are too attached to their opinion, and
Yeah.
then there is just very like almost childlike animosity. And like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
go away, I'm going away. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
adults do this.
Child mentality, which is manifesting in adult conversation and adult life, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Only because I think you really, for me, I think you've really hit the nail on the head. The reason is lack of education, lack of knowledge about your own practices. And when I say own, normally own refers to the practice in the family in which you were born, because
Yeah.
you've not really
Beyond
undergone a
that.
journey of exploration and studied different
Yeah.
religions. But okay, fine, one religion is the religion in which I have been born and brought up. But have you really educated yourself in that?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or a Sikh or a Hindu, and Hindu
What?
amongst themselves have so many varieties, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
have you studied your own religion well? Have you studied religion as a concept well? If you haven't, then you will never want to
Yeah.
talk about it.
I'll tell you, like, in
Mhm.
college, when we came, there was like a, I was staying in a hostel, and people from all walks of life, from India, across the country. I was in an engineering college, and from all different parts of the country, they had come together and staying in one hostel. And obviously we've come from different households, from different cultures, etc. All of us had something or the other in, like, छुप छुप के हम अपने ऑल्टर लगा रहे हैं. ऑल्टर मतलब वो छोटे
Mhm.
छोटे फोटोज,
Mhm.
like someone has a Ganesh ji, they have, like, it's very protected thing. Nobody even questions कि ओ तेरे वाले कौन से हैं, अच्छा हमारे वाले.
Mhm.
Nobody does that. We are exploring, तेरा लैपटॉप कौन सा है, तेरे कपड़े कौन, we are talking about everything else, but that is something, it's like a unsaid thing कि हाँ ये इसका है, नहीं बात, we're not going to talk about this. Yeah. And
Yeah.
this is happening. And you see this, like, if someone talks, why is there a hesitation in talking about this? Because it's basically vulnerability, and it's basically my defense mechanism, that I don't want to be
Yeah.
questioned. I don't want to scratch this surface. I don't, even for my own belief, I don't want to scratch the surface. Because if I scratch the surface, I will see, I will be faced, I'll basically come face to face with my own, lack of conviction, with
Inadequacies.
my own, yeah, inadequacies and my ignorance about my own practices. And I don't want to
Ignorance.
come. It's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Scary. Eh?
Yeah. 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 And now that you mentioned college, I could really think of folks in my college who I never thought will uh, be religious or will ever mm, think of God also. I remember these folks having some photos in their wallet, like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
photo of
Yeah.
some or the other uh,
Yeah.
divine being. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's funny. We want to keep God in our closet. That's it. That's enough.
Yeah.
Let's not talk
Closeted.
about
Yeah. We have
it. And
closeted
you know,
gods.
yeah, and it's this. I'll tell you one. I can also think of this one set of instances when this closeted God comes out. They come out when we are in times of dire difficulty, when you've lost
Yeah.
hope on any human being, like natural
Mm.
disasters. During, for instance, no political leader will talk about God, yeah, unless there is
Yeah.
a propaganda, there's an agenda. No
Yeah.
political leader will talk about God. But as soon as there's a natural disaster, you start saying God willing. You start
Mm.
saying, let's all pray. Our prayers are with you. You know,
Yeah.
one prime minister is
Yeah.
talking to another saying, our prayers are with you. Prayers to
Yeah.
whom? So
Yeah.
suddenly God comes out
I'm
in the
praying to
public,
my
out of our
military
private
general.
lives, very difficulty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at that time, nobody's going to question us. You know, hey, who's your
Okay,
God?
that,
Why do you think
that's
he's
fine.
your
That's
God?
natural thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is so
yeah.
weird,
This
like,
is
and even in that, you're still careful in what you're saying, what names you're taking. So because you have this whole conundrum, and like, you have this need to reach out to a higher power, but then you're like, I don't want conflict also, because I don't know, nobody knows about who are we talking about. So sab same hai, bas, sabko same kar do na, like, what is your problem? Their god, my god, everything is same. I don't even know who's saying what about their god. Some people have science as their god, some people have, Anybody can have anything as their god. So ये like नहीं कोई बात नहीं, god है, same है, सब कुछ same है. So you're just painting everybody in that same brush, because you don't want conflict also, because nobody knows anyway. What will we talk about? Nobody knows anyway. You'll talk about your gibberish, they'll talk about their gibberish, and yeah, gone. Then hair goes into water. What can you do?
On this note, I want to also acknowledge the fact that we are talking so confidently right now about this subject, but we're so confident about the psychology because we've been through that.
Yeah,
We weren't
yeah,
born
we will.
educated about our own religion.
No,
We're just
not at
looking
all.
inside and then talking it out.
Yeah, I've
Like
been through
looking,
it.
a
I've
lot of
been
it
a
is looking
closeted
inside, a lot of it is observation.
I've been a closeted Hindu.
Hmm.
I've been in that shoe. Like I
Yeah,
at
same
home
here.
I used to find solace in praying to God for my exams. I didn't do my homework. Please,
Yeah.
oh God, oh Lord, don't let the teacher come. Whatever. I've prayed, and when I'm outside, I used to my mom used to put a tika on my forehead. I used to mitao it and go to school,
Rub it in.
because I don't know
Yeah,
why.
rub it in.
Nobody ever made fun of me. By the way, I've never had a bad experience. Nobody's bullied me in that sense. I've been protected well by Krishna. But when like whenever I used to go out, somehow I used to feel like ये नहीं करना चाहिए, हटा लिया. Just because maybe nobody's outside doing it, whatever it was, whatever a child thinks. I was thinking that, and I used to just take it off my head, because I wasn't very comfortable doing it. And on the other side, there's another spectrum which you can see आजकल, that people are putting full thopo, like कि मैं तो लगा के ही जाऊंगा, I'm gonna make other people uncomfortable. That's the narrative. That's one narrative also that I'm seeing aajkal, by the way, that I will make other
Yeah.
people, I will thopo and explode out of my closet, so with such a bang that I will startle everybody. So
Yeah, but
that
that's
is
also very dangerous because that's also
again
happening
emotional.
without education. So
Yeah, again emotional. That is also emotional only. So both spectrums are like emotionally charged. But what we are trying to say is, fortunately someone came and gave us a glimpse of that education, and that gave me so much freedom to practice what I practice, with a lot of dignity, grace, and actual conviction. With I basically got comfortable in my own skin to practice what I wanted to practice. It gave me that
yeah.
comfort level, and nothing else could give me that. Otherwise, what do we seek comfort in? Acha mujhe like I want to wear dhoti kurta, tilak, whatever I want to wear, because but अकेले कैसे जाऊंगा, जुट में जाऊंगा मैं. My faith is in the jut. My faith is in the crowd, that there are other people like me, only with them I'm going to go. If there are none of them are going, then I can't go like that. I will have to go like a normal person. I will put all my faith conviction in either all these external things, because internally I don't have conviction. This education gave me that internal conviction, that okay, I know why I practice what I practice. I don't practice it to startle anybody else. I don't do it to impose myself on someone else. I don't do it to do a display of things. I do it for these abcd reasons. So now I know where to wear. Like for example, right now, Prabhu, you're wearing a tilak, and I'm not wearing a tilak. Now tell me who's right, who's wrong. Is I'm sitting here, I will never have a thought in my head कि यार मुझे भी तिलक पहनना चाहिए था क्या. Or I'll never have a thought इसने तिलक क्यों पहना है. Neither thought I have, because I know I've been taught why someone wears a tilak, why should one wear a tilak, etc., etc., etc. So when I'm comfortable doing it, wherever it is needed, I do it. Wherever it is not for my comfort, I and you're okay with it. You're also not gonna ask me, प्रभु आपने तिलक क्यों नहीं पहना है, तिलक तो पहनो. You'll never ask me that question.
Mm.
Both of us are comfortable in our
Mm.
own skin, not because we are it's not about a whimsical mind.
Avoiding
मन किया
conflict.
लगाएंगे.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we're not asking to avoid conflict. We're not
yeah,
asking because we're
yeah,
educated.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think this is a very very good point
Al-
that came up.
Also, I think mm, I've observed this in myself and many of my peers who are practicing spirituality, that education doesn't only make you comfortable in your own skin, but it
Yeah,
also gives you a great opportunity to explore other spiritual religious cultures and eventually build
yeah,
appreciation for them.
yeah.
Uh,
Because you see that common thread.
so
Then you start seeing that common thread.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That
So
same
the narrative
solace that
since
we seek, that same solace that we seek in making everything the same, which is no conflict, that same
mm,
thing is
mm,
happening
mm.
in a more mature way. Because yeah, I still don't, if
Yeah,
someone else is practicing something else, I am actually okay with it, because I know, okay, these are the elements that you can see. Okay, this is a practice where that practice is leading that person, you can see it and you appreciate it, you're okay with it. In fact, you're appreciating and trying to help that person do whatever they are doing.
yeah, yeah. This is again a really good point, which is that earlier the way to find peace was by avoiding differences
Yeah.
between religious cultures, and now
Mm.
the way to find peace is by discussing, appreciating, and motivating
Yeah.
around
Motivating.
motivation around the commonalities in different religious cultures.
Right.
So this the latter way is a more educated, more mature way.
Yeah. It's just so
Really
much more
nice. I
relaxed.
didn't
I
expect this.
don't have to go
I
onto the
I didn't.
Facebook comment section, and I don't have to write paragraphs there anymore. I used to do that. I don't have to do it anymore. I have some
Yeah.
so it's freed up my time, really.
Okay. And so we've spoken till now about how education about religion is pertinent, it's important, and I think especially today when the connotation is really making people go apart, education
Yeah.
about your own and other religions is critical.
Yeah.
It's critical. It's not only important. Like you've got to have this now to be wise, to be informed,
Mm.
to just
Yeah.
not go and hate
Yeah.
someone because you're in a group which hates, because
Yeah.
you don't know enough about them or yourself, because your
Right.
defense mechanism is forcing you to hate. No, get
Yeah. Have
informed,
you seen
get
a child?
educated, and
Have you
it's
seen
not
a child?
difficult.
Children do this. Just
Yeah.
pick a disagreement with them. Just randomly say, who's your favorite superhero, beta? And they'll say Superman. And you'll say, oh no, Superman is not. He's a weakling. You say that. They'll look at you, and they'll have fear in their eyes. They'll be, what? No, no, no. And then they'll
Yeah.
start crying, and they'll get angry if you just keep saying that, and then they will hit you, and then they will hit you. This is exactly what we do. They don't have a
Yeah.
he will
Yeah.
not counter anything. The child will not counter anything. He'll be फर्स्ट कैसे बोल दिया? सही तो नहीं बोल रहा? सही बोल रहा है क्या ये? नहीं
Mm,
मुझे नहीं सुनना. Let me be in my like in this bubble of mine. I've been so comfortable, so happy. Let me be here. You go away. I'm going to hit you now. This is the whole narrative,
mm,
and same thing
mm.
we're doing with
Yeah. Yeah.
multi-million dollar
And
weapons. Yeah,
yeah, I'm also thinking that why don't we educate ourselves? Why is it that we don't invest in our own religion or in religion as a topic in general? Because by
yeah,
the time sensibilities hit us, by the time we grow up, uh, assuming in childhood we've not received any education about our own culture, by the time we grow up,
yeah,
we are too attached to the culture
yeah. Too
to
attached.
question it, and we are too lazy to study it.
Right.
So
We know
then,
what
if
whatever
you're
we ought
lazy to
to know.
study
We
and
know.
you're too attached, then you go again, come again, Prabhu.
Yeah, we basically go. We whatever we ought to know, we know already. That's it.
Yeah. And see, this is such a suicidal combination. The combination of being very attached but being
Yeah,
lazy
to
to
know more.
study about it.
Yeah,
You'll be a fanatic then. Simple. You'll
yeah.
just end up being a fanatic. So
It's
deadly
it's
combination.
a perfect recipe for being a fanatic. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And then we all hate fanatics and we want to maintain a distance from fanatics and we don't want to come across as a fanatic. So we won't talk about it.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. I feel like
yeah,
we were supposed to, or we were going to talk about something else, but this has been a great discussion. Uh,
yeah,
we've ended up discussing the existence of God and why we don't want to approach that territory of religion and God, why we don't
yeah.
want to educate ourselves. Uh,
Mm.
the the value we can add now is by really talking about, if not now, then in the next series, the next episode, we must talk about what is this education. We should share our education. What is the education that you and I have about
Yeah.
uh, uh, our own spiritual culture, about our understanding of different religions, about what our
Yeah.
religious culture says about other religions, what does our religious culture say about the complexities in itself, and how it
Yeah.
all comes together so beautifully. So
Yeah.
we should talk about it. I suggest we leave this here, and then we come back
Yeah.
again, and we
Yeah.
pick it up from
We can
here,
do that.
and we talk about our religious culture and our education in religion.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Let's leave
Yeah,
it at
Prabhu.
this. I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Very nice chat.
Yeah. It was a good chat.
Okay. Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Jaya Gaura Hari